Tricia from Tribe to Village. This is our tribe, our village, our family. Thank you for joining us today. And today we are here with the lovely Lauren Richards. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
So Lauren and I share a special bond as we helped each other. Well, I should say Lauren helped me get through a very dark time in my life. And that was when I experienced a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren herself experienced a miscarriage. That's why I reached out to her during that time, because she miscarried twins.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought it was very important to come together today so that we could share our story, because so many women have experienced miscarriages, but yet it's still a taboo subject.
Mm-hmm.
It's still something that many people don't talk about. They're not open and honest about it. You know, there's a lot of pain, and in some cultures, there's a lot of stigma associated with it when this is a common occurrence. And we just need to bring some things into the light to let you know that you're not alone and you can get through it and there's nothing wrong with you. So Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem.
Yes. So that was you see, there's still a lot of trauma. So I'm still taking my deep breaths. It's not easy.
It's not. But as time goes, and I've always said this, time heals. Time heals. And I could truthfully say 3 years is when I actually started my healing process. I am now, they would have been 8 in August, 9 in August. I'm sorry. It would have been 9 in August. So you can see that time, it took me about 5 years to officially, quote unquote, get over it. I still do think about them, hands down, but I've gotten to the point where I can talk about it without having a nervous breakdown. You know.
And how far along were you when you had your miscarriage?
It was 3 months.
3 months.
We actually just found out the sex maybe like a week or 2 before the miscarriage.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you just found out?
Found out the boys. Mm-hmm. And then I do remember, I remember going to get some food for whatever reason. Well, I know the reason. I was clearly pregnant.
The babies were hungry.
I was hungry, girl. I was feeding for 2. But I do remember going to get some food. And at the time, I was still working 2 jobs. And I went home to change, got the food, went home to change. And I looked at my pants and there was a little bit of blood. Obviously, it was my first pregnancy. First thing I'm going to do is call Mom Dukes. Mm-hmm. And mommy, something's happening. So I met her at the ER. And at that point, they told me that one of the twins was actually sitting very, very low on my cervix. Mm-hmm. And every time that he moved or he shifted, he was making my cervix shorter. Mm-hmm. So they had to put me on a weekend bed rest, just to see how things would go. Mm-hmm. Gave me some medication that was supposed to reduce the shortening of my cervix. Mm-hmm. And then, so the Monday after I went in for my appointment, my boyfriend came.
Your boo.
My boo. To visit, obviously just to check on me, make sure I'm good. He brought me some lunch. We chilled, we talked, we laughed, we giggled, whatever. Then it was around like 4 or 5 o'clock and he was about to head out. And I was like, great, perfect. Cause I'm really tired now. I want to take a nap.
I'm done with you. Thank you for the food. Bye. I'm tired.
Bye. I was like, ready to leave, perfect, because I'm kind of tired. I kind of need to go. But again, remember, I was carrying 2 boys. Like,
yes. Yes.
2 boys. So then after I took my nap and I woke up, went to the bathroom, and I saw clots in in my underwear. That point, I'm freaked out. Out. I started screaming. My father was like, "What's the matter?" I was like, "Get mommy right now! Get mommy right now! I don't know what to do. There's clots in my panties." I was like, "Okay, no problem."
So did you feel pain? Did you feel pain when the clots were passing, or you just looked down and saw it?
So the night before, I should have said that. The night before, I was twisting and turning. I do remember that. Like, it was just like a really bad, I wasn't comfortable the night before. And it kind of settled down throughout the day. So I'm like, all right, bet. Maybe they're just night babies. They're playing around. This is just their time to play. That's honestly what I thought.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that it was the beginning of my miscarriage. Looking back at it now, I'm assuming that that's what that was, because like I said, I was fine throughout the day. They were not as active as they were the night before. So again, in my mind, this is my first pregnancy. I'm assuming that they were just sleeping throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? So again, fast forward to the bathroom. I went to the hospital. I explained to them what was happening. And as I'm in the ER, I started to have contractions. And you could tell that it was contractions because of the time that I was, quote unquote, screaming. Like, I was actually in labor.
And this was 3 months in.
This is 3 months in, right. So now I'm in the ER. I'm in the, they brought me in the back because obviously something is really wrong. And as I think it was like 4 or 5 contractions in, I had a really big contraction and my placenta came out. And at that point, the doctor said, "I'm sorry, miss, but you just miscarried." So at that point, my boyfriend, my boo, literally just made it back, because at that point he was living in Brooklyn. So when I text him, he was just getting to Brooklyn. So then he had to come back to me in Yonkers. So he had just made it to me like right before the doctor told me that I lost the boys, or that I miscarried, quote unquote.
Lauren, when the doctor told you that, did you process it? Did it seem like it was real?
I still couldn't process it. I'm like, no, but there has to be something else. Like, this can't be it. This can't be it. Like, there has to be more. Yeah. There has to be. And so they said, "We're going to admit you just for observation," or whatever the case is. And, kind of fine. So in my mind, I'm upstairs. Nothing is happening. I don't see no movements. They hooked me up to the machines and everything. So I'm like, okay, great. This is a step. Like, there may still be a chance. And then I remember, let's keep in mind, this was a couple years ago when the hospital still was able to have visitors.
Yeah. That pre-COVID life. What was that?
This was a normal life. Let's keep that in mind. So I do remember my mom's friend coming to the hospital, and she was on my bed. She was at the bedside. We were talking, laughing, giggling, ha. And then I said I had to use the bathroom. And I was like, "Can I just get up and go to the bathroom? Like, I don't think there should be an issue." And she said to me, "No, get a bedpan." I said, "I've just got to use the bathroom. Like, I don't understand why I can't walk to the bathroom." Lo and behold, I went to the bathroom and the boys came out. And at that point, I was like, wow. Wow, I don't have my boys anymore.
Wow. So you used the bathroom and you looked back and you saw your boys there.
I felt them. I felt them leaving me. One by one, I felt them leaving me. And so I was like, I said, wait, what is that? What just happened? Like, I was still, again, still in shock, not sure what just happened. And so I'm like, what just happened? She said, that was the boys. And that was it. And I literally shut down. I do remember at that, I went in the hospital Thursday. Mm-hmm. And I remember shutting down and not talking to anyone till like the month.
That's so, because that's such a traumatizing experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like I said, I remember I was discharged. I went and got the DNC just to make sure that everything was cleaned out. And they discharged me like 12 hours afterwards, just to make sure everything was good. My vitals were good. Everything was good. They discharged me. I was home, and I literally went in my room and locked the door for like 3 days. And anyone, I don't even remember eating. Mm-hmm. And anybody knows me, know I love to eat. So
we don't miss meals around here.
I don't miss meals. That's the thing that I don't do. So I do remember missing. I don't remember eating, but I do remember staying in my room and locking the door and sitting in the dark and not having, just darkness. There was no TV. There was no lights. There was just nothing. It was just me.
Yeah. Would you say you were a little depressed?
Hands down, definitely depressed. And it got to the point where I did start to ask questions like, why me? Like
that part.
I got to that part of the why me. Like, why is it that other people in this world can have these babies and they don't want them? But me, who was willing to literally spend possibly 7 months in a bed to care for my kids, not able to have them in my hand.
And that makes sense because you were grieving, so you were angry, you were questioning, you were starting the stages of grief, and you were grieving not only one, but two children, your children, your sons. Yeah, it was a lot. So what helped you get through that dark time besides time itself?
Honestly, that's really what it was. It was time. It was not bringing it up. It was just honestly time. And I remember I was on a cruise in the summer in the Caribbean. Now, just picture that. Just picture the scenery. Cruise, coconuts, seawater, everything.
Pina colada, margaritas.
Picture that. And I remember waking up one morning and crying. Like, hard body crying. Like, even though I had cried throughout the years, like little tear here, little tear there, little tear here, little tear there. That morning, again, still on the cruise, I remember crying hard, like hard, like hard.
I think you cried before. You had that ugly cry.
Yeah, it was the ugly cry on the cruise. Who does an ugly cry on the cruise?
The hurting mama.
Right. Just think about that. Ugly cry. But seriously, yeah. So I remember literally crying all morning because I had dreamt about them, and I woke up in tears. Just they wouldn't stop. I was trying to eat breakfast. Tears came. I tried to go in the water. The tears came. I could not stop crying. And I think at that point, it was, again, 3 years or so after the fact. And I think it was the fact that I actually finally cried that got me over my hump. Because after that, I was okay. I'm not going to say that I was 100%, but I could actually speak my story without crying. I got to that.
And I think what helped you is because at that point you confronted it head on. You accepted that, the boys were here, they were growing inside of me, and they're no longer here.
Correct.
So before you was pushing it all down, you didn't bring it up.
Yep.
You didn't talk about it, so you couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, I agree to that. I could agree to that. I could agree to that.
Oh my goodness, but I am so happy that you were able to make it, through that dark period. And now you have a rainbow baby who's like
I
tearing up the house and loving on you.
have no idea.
Oh, wait, how far along? Do you remember how far along it was until I came to you looking for
Oh,
like support?
I would have to say I was about, I do remember already crying. So I would say maybe like 4 or 5 years after.
Wow, 4 or 5 years. And it doesn't even seem that long in the moment,
No,
right? It
no.
seems like it was just yesterday. Because I remember us sitting down and like tears, and it was just like,
Yeah, I remember it not being so recent, but not being so far either. So I would, if I had to take a guesstimate, it was about 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
yeah. So, people deal with things differently. People deal with trauma, with loss, and all of that differently. And you and I we're two different people in the fact that you remember all of these details. You remember so many details. I, on the other hand, something traumatic happens to me, I bury it. Like, I know that I feel the emotions, and even now I feel the chills in my body, but the details, I could tell you what happened, but I cannot tell you the details because my brain, I think it tries to erase it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't want me. But I do remember this was a time I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant while my husband was away at military training, so he wasn't even in the state, and we couldn't see each other. We could barely talk to each other because he was during basic training. And so I found out that I was pregnant, and then, long story short, I miscarried at 14 weeks. And I think they tell you around 12 weeks, is when it's safe to go tell everyone and stuff like that. So 14 weeks, I'm thinking, oh, cool, I'm out the woods, don't have to keep it a secret anymore. Like, this is happening, because I passed that mark. Whew. So I'm over here envisioning everything in my mind about what, the nursery is going to look like the first hug, like all of that. Like, I'm a mother, even though I didn't give birth, I felt like a mother.
Felt it.
Yeah. And it was a girl. A little baby girl, and I'm going through names in my head. And long story short, it was something about the chromosome that led to the miscarriage. And something with the heart. I remember going to my prenatal appointments with my best friend, my sister, and maybe she'll know more details than me right now because
you blocked it out. It's gone.
Yeah, I blocked it out. My brain is like, we don't want you breaking down. So, but funny thing is, I have all my all the medical records in the folder somewhere in the house. Do I know where it is? No. If I go looking for it, would I find it? Yes. Do I want to go find it? No. Like, there's just a lot. Like, I'm holding on to it, and at the same time, I don't.
Yeah.
So I remember that after, they had to do the D&C, and my friend was with me because my husband wasn't there. And that's just a whole nother added stress. I kept saying, I'm broken all the time. Like, I must have said it like nonstop on repeat. I'm broken. I can't carry this baby. I couldn't carry my daughter because I'm broken. Something is wrong with me. And it took me a while, and I remember one of my sisters going, "You're not broken, don't say that." But I just blocked it out because it was my fault. No matter what the doctor said, that it was
fault. Like, what could I have done differently to prevent me from miscarrying? Exactly. Yes, I know that feeling.
Exactly. And why couldn't I carry it? Like, what did I do wrong? So I internalized all of that, and I took all the blame. And I think, and that's when I called you up, because I'm like, my sisters, they're great. And my husband was able to come for like a day or two. They allowed him to come. But I still felt, yeah, no one knew what I was going through. And then I just want to thank you, Lauren, because you did meet with me last minute out of the blue. And
if I can help one person, I'm pretty sure I can help somebody else. And that's what this really is about. It's like you said in the beginning, too many people are not talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more of a hush, hush, hush thing. And it's not okay.
No.
It really is. Some people do not recover from it. Thank God for the both of us that we were both able to have rainbow babies.
Yeah.
And was able to get past that trauma to try again. Again, some people, once that happens to them, they're done. They don't want to try again. They don't want to attempt to go through those feelings again. Getting to the point of, oh yes, I'm pregnant. Oh yes, I made the safe mark. Oh man, I lost the baby.
Yeah.
They don't want to get to that point, and it is sad, but we're out there to support each other, and that's just what it is.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and this is something that is not uncommon. It's something that is common. You and I have gone through it. Many other women have gone through it and will go through it.
Absolutely. And I didn't even know how many people, older women than me, had gone through miscarriages until I had mine. And they was like, listen, it's okay. I also had one. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I didn't even know at some point that you did. I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, to me, and when it first happened, I did feel like I was by myself.
Yeah.
No one around me has ever happened to this. Nobody knows my feelings. Knows how I've gone through. But as time went on and I was able to actually speak to people, because when I was able to actually speak to people, they've opened up and said, listen, I've gone through it. I've had 2. I've had 3. I've gone through this. I know what it feels like. At that point, I'm like, wow.
Because like you said, you just feel like you're the only one in the world who can do this. But so many people carry that with them. So I'm so glad that we're able to have the discussion. And if you're watching and, if you've had a miscarriage, just know that
you're not alone.
Yep. You're not alone. And there are brighter days and there's hope for the future. And another thing is, you're not broken.
No,
you're not broken.
Exactly. It wasn't your. For all we know, that there could have been a birth deficiency. There could have been whatever the case is with that pregnancy. That's the reason why God said, you know what, this is not for you. This is not. I'm gonna take them now before you get too deep into it. Yeah, and you have a heavy burden.
Yes, just like Lauren said, there's a reason for everything that's happened. And also, God made you the way that he made you for a reason. So if, we do have women who were able to have children after a miscarriage, and we also have women who are unable to have children, right? Whatever the case may be. But even if you're unable to have children, that doesn't make you any less of a woman. That doesn't make you broken. You cannot be broken if you were created in the way that you were supposed to be created. And, thankfully, we're living in a time with medical advances where there are so many fertility treatments or other options like surrogacy or adoption. IVF, there are so many things out there. So remember that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that maybe your path is a different path, or this happened for this reason and that reason, but you can make it through this time. We're living proof of it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I could truthfully say 8 years later, I have about to be a 2-year-old, and I was scared ridiculously throughout that pregnancy. Like, I was literally in the doctor every month, like, there's something wrong with me. They're like, ma'am, no, just growing pains. Are you sure? Check my baby. Check my baby, please. So I will hands down say that I really was scared my second pregnancy. But by the grace of God, I have a beautiful daughter. And like I said, she'll be 2 in July. And I'm going to go for another one. I'm definitely going to go for another one.
You're about to have a soccer team. I ain't mad at you.
I'm not a soccer team. I'm just going for 2.
I'm done. I have 2 boys. I'm done.
I'm gonna aim for a boy. If I don't get a boy, I get a girl. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's not in my book.
All right, so we know that Lauren does not want more than 2 children.
2 and
well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Lauren, thank you for sharing your story and for being a support.
Absolutely.
And everyone who's watching, make sure you stay on top of all your prenatal appointments. Don't miss an appointment. And know that if this happens to you, remember us. These phases, if we could get through it, you can get through it too. It will be difficult. We're not saying it's going to be easy.
It's gonna be easy. Oh, man.
We're still dealing with it, Lauren still remembers the details. I'm still running from my details. So,
right.
The healing process it might be long for you. It might be hard, but there's light at the end. So so let's continue and to elevate and grow together. Until next time, bye.
Bye.